round, 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 round and round. I mean,
Whoa. Will you do that again? Because that's not how the song goes.
Facts on tracks. We're gonna break some vinyl down from the front to the back with facts on tracks.
Showtime. Welcome to Breaking Vinyl. I'm your host, Dez, a.k.a. Johnny Fever. And as always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts. First up, the podcaster coming through in high fidelity, Evil Ed. What's up, Ed?
hey, Dez, how you doing, everyone out there?
Oh, great. Just finished taking a shit in the All-Town gas station parking lot. And joining the show for the very first time, the podcaster with a degree in rock and roll, Fekenstein.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I do appreciate it. I think this is gonna be awesome because this is one of my favorite albums right here. So.
Awesome, me too, man. I'm fucking glad to have you on board. Tonight we will be discussing Ratt Out of the Cellar, produced by Brew Hill, released on March 27th, 1984 on Atlantic Records. The album peaked at number 7 on the Billboard 200. The band's lineup was as follows. On lead vocals, Stephen Pearcy. On lead and rhythm guitar, Robin Crosby. On lead and rhythm guitar, Warren DeMartini. Bass guitar, Juan Crozier. And on the drums, Bobby Blotzer. All right, let's dish out some band facts. Ratt was conceived in 1977 by Stephen Pearcy under the name Mickey Ratt, and Jakey Lee played guitar in early versions of the band. The lovely Tawny Katane, who was Robin Crosby's girlfriend at the time, would also feature on the cover of Out of the Cellar, as well as appear in the video for Back for More. Fee, what do you got for facts?
Yeah, I mean, you hit on a lot of the points I definitely want to hit on because when I was doing my homework on this, I never realized that Jakey Lee was in Mickey Ratt, and there were various versions before Robin's band, which was like Meta Mecca or something like that, and Steven's band kind of joined together. But, and just seeing the different kind of variations of guys and stuff like, Ron Crozier and Dokken for a bit, and then in Ratt, and then back in Dokken for a bit, and, all of that stuff. So it was pretty cool to kind of like revisit history on this one. It was awesome.
It's so funny you said that because so Juan Crozier and Jeff Pilson and Mick Brown and Bobby Blotzer, they're interchangeable. These are the same 4 guys, right?
Yep.
Like they look the same, they play the same, and it's funny that they all kind of played in these 2 bands together. So I thought that was an interesting fact.
Oh yeah.
Ed, what do you got on Out of the Cellar?
So first off, just to keep going with what you guys are saying, it's such an early part of the LA scene. That it's great to see. Back then, what I remember, everyone was super competitive. Yet, when you read the history on this, you realize, no, everyone was kind of just playing with each other and seeing what worked, which is kind of where I feel like music is now, at least if you play. And it's such a pleasure to actually realize, no, it wasn't like that. It was, in the beginning, it was everyone just wanted to play, and I love it. But some facts, I thought it was interesting that it was Jakey Lee that actually recommended Warren DeMartini replace him, which I thought was pretty freaking cool. And then to hear that Warren was only 18 and was attending college in San Diego when he was asked to join. And, it was kind of a bit of a process where, that other dude there that you guys mentioned was in and out of the band because Warren wasn't fully, Warren wasn't fully committed. So, it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun to look up this stuff.
We were talking about Warren DeMartini, me and my wife today, and she was like, "Oh, he's a shredder, right?" I'm like, he shreds, but he's not a shredder. It's not like George Lynch or Steve Vai from last week. Like Warren DeMartini is playing some like very tasty rock and roll licks, and he's playing him like greasy. He's like a greasy guitar player. He's not like a shredder. It's it's so fucking good.
Well, he shreds in the context of the song, not to overshadow the song.
Yeah, yes. And we've had plenty of conversations about that, and with like all the solos just kind of fit, they're good. Like everything just fits perfect with Warren, although I will say, and we'll get to this a little bit later, is a couple of the Robin tunes I kind of found myself liking more than the Warren tunes on. I was surprised by that, but you know, we'll get there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely an underrated guitar
it's
player.
funny
Crosby.
Yeah, funny you said that, because Robin Crosby, they talk about how they wish they had let him produce a little bit more, and they think that it would have made Ratt evolve a little more. Because they joke about how they made the same album over and over, but it was a fucking good album. I get it. They were selling these albums, so they didn't want to change the formula that was working. But I wonder if they had let Robin maybe start producing more, if the Ratt sound maybe would have evolved a little bit, and maybe if Robin Crosby would still be with us, who knows, right?
Possible.
And Fee, I agree with you. Robin Crosby's not the greatest guitar player in the world, but he's very melodic. He plays really melodic riffs that fit the songs, and he can add in some flash. So I agree with you. I really liked a lot of Robin Crosby's work on this album.
Yeah.
Let's get some quick opening thoughts. So I'll be brief here. I grew up on this album, and I've worn out more cassette copies of this back, in the late 80s than I can count. I mean, literally, I remember taking two pens, and trying to tighten the cassette up so it would still work,
Yep.
Did it hold up over time? I don't know. We're going to find out. Fee, what are your memories of Out of the Cellar?
Yeah, kind of the same, I mean, I think just musically, you grow up with like kind of like what your family and like friends listen to and stuff like that. And then being like 12 years old and hearing, Round and Round for the first time, and just like, like, yeah, like this is just solid, like rock,
No.
And it was just very different from the Rush, the Zeppelin, the other types of rock that we kind of grew up on. And it was just new and fresh and just real, just fucking clean and good, I don't know. I just love this album, and same as you, Des. I wore this thing out, a bunch. Yeah. Bringing me back with the pencils in the cassettes, trying to tighten them up and everything, for sure. Even a couple of times trying to like splice them back together on the breaks and everything,
Oh, definitely. And also being a guitar player, trying to learn these songs, wearing these tapes out by stop and record and back and you just destroy it by doing that. It's funny too. I wanted to just touch on, you were talking about these 70 bands that we were kind of had that flavor in our mouth when we first heard some of these bands. And people forget that Ratt and Dokken are kind of the OGs. I mean, Dokken came out like late 70s, 79.
Yeah.
There's videos, Don Dawkins playing a Black Les Paul and singing, and and then you were talking about Mickey Ratt. This is 1977. They're conceiving this idea. So these bands, Ratt and Dokken, for me, kind of are the bridge between Rush and these 70s bands, and then Motley Crue and Warrant and this next wave of music. So I really think that that's why these guys are such good musicians, because as these bands evolve into Poison and Motley Crue, we're gonna see that the chops are starting to fall off a little bit.
That's an understatement.
Ratt and Dokken, these guys could fucking play, period. So Ed, what are your thoughts on Out of the Cellar memories?
Yeah, so honestly, this was the first time I've ever heard the whole album.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no, like I was always just, going with whatever. If I was with people that were playing it, I'd kind of listen to it. But other than, the big four on the album, I have never heard any of the other songs. This was the first time I've ever heard those.
Dude, this album has the Big Ten. This album has the Big Ten, okay?
I think so. I'm with you.
Oh, shit.
I disagree. I think there's absolutely one stinker on this.
Oh, get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Okay. Let's get into it.
All right.
So the first track on the album is Wanted Man, and this is how you fucking open up an album, okay? Real quick, let me touch on the videos. So this is the heyday of MTV. I love this old Western themed video. It's so fucking cool. It was directed by Mark Rizika, who also worked on Ratt's video for Back for More. And he also did the iconic video from Quiet Riot, Mental Health. Another band that was a transitional band, late 70s, early 80s type deal. So this song starts with this booming intro. I mean, it's such a good intro. Um, the song is arranged perfectly. It includes amazing transitions in and out of the guitar solos, which is like a theme on this album. Like they know they've got great guitar players. And unlike with the Crew and bands like that, where it's just like, okay, out of this, guitar solo over, chorus music or whatever. No, Ratt is writing music for these guitar solos. Oh man, it's amazing. Blazing guitar solos. Obvious right out of the gate, these guys can play their instruments at a high level. Bobby Blotzer's drums, I fucking forgot how great this guy is and how well these drums are produced. They are panned fucking all over the place. You listen to this with headphones on. Holy shit. Amazing. And a lot like Van Halen, Juan Crocier's background vocals prop up Stephen Pearcy's stylistic vocals. Like, I don't find David Lee Roth to be the greatest singer of all times, but I find him to be one of the most stylistic singers of all time. And it is the stamp that makes you know you're listening to Van Halen. And it's the same thing with Stephen Peary. It's this fucking guy's voice is so cool. It's so cool. And then you add Juan Crocier's fucking highs and harmonies. Chef's kiss.
Bravo.
Fee.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fee, what do you think of this opening track?
I'm with you, and I'm kind of glad you brought that up with your Van Halen one, because I was actually listening to that podcast you guys did last night, and after listening to this album probably like 50 more times this week, because I was like, oh, this is back in the rotation, great, So I did. I put the earbuds in and I turned on the noise canceling and let it rip, and I was like, fuck me, like Wanted Man is just insane. Like, my analogy is like Kool-Aid Man busting through the wall with assault rifles, like just fucking murder.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, so good. So good. One of the things I found interesting, because I was kind of going back and forth with like your format and everything through the week, is like, like who would you replace, what tune, all of this and stuff. And, Juan's name kind of came up a lot, but the more homework I did on him, I was like, man, I love this fucking guy, and you're right on with the, spot on with those backing vocals and the bass. But with this track, it was kind of interesting for me is he wasn't really like, he played it on the album, but this other guy was filling in for him, Joey Cristofanilli or something like that, when I was reading about that. And I was like, wow, because I find Juan on this tune is really good. For him to not be involved in the whole creative process of it, to start it out, I thought was kind of strange, so.
Yeah. He's got a great voice, and he plays bass on the beat so well. Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, and just as a side note here, I was kind of nervous about coming on after listening to some of the podcasts, because you guys, you're musicians, I'm not, and so when you start talking about that like quarter note, half note, full note shit, like I'm just like, okay,
yeah. Well, Fee, my wife isn't a musician, and I feel like some of the pods she's been on are some of the best pods we've done. So sometimes a fan of music is going to bring shine some light on it that we won't. And a lot of people listening to this podcast are not musicians and don't give a fuck about the quarter note.
If I could just get a couple more things on here, but one of the things they kind of do throughout the album is like the heavy hitting intros throughout, and this is one of them. And the solos out too on the outro is fucking awesome, just cool, and the way Bobby ends it too, like just awesome, great tune, great overall tune.
Yeah. Fee, I totally agree with you on everything you said right there, and that's one of the charms of this album is these songs unravel in front of you, and they take you in places you don't think you're going to go, and they're constantly evolving, and no two sections are the same. You're not going to hear the same bridge twice, or the same verse twice, or the same chorus twice, unlike with like Shout at the Devil, where these sections are literally sound cut and pasted. Like they could have done one verse, one bridge, one chorus, and just cut and pasted through the entire song, and then Mick struggles to play a solo over one stock piece of music from the song. It's like, fuck that. Ed, what'd you think of Wanted Man, Ed?
Oh my God, that's awesome. I agree with you guys. Where I think Ratt kind of is a great example of early on formulaic music in the fact that you have like your intro, then you go into a first verse, then the first chorus, then the second verse is similar, but you add a little bit more. And then by the time you get to the third verse, it's just full tilt. Like it's always increasing, so it's going up. And people got away from that. And I think that's kind of what made and gave Ratt a lot of their success, is that it was, okay, here's a great riff. Now we're going to change it a little bit for the better and a little bit more, and we're going to add things on top of it, and you're just going to be just surrounded by this wall of music, and it's great. But as far as Wanted Man, you're right, Des. It is just, this is how you open an album. I mean, what a great, just, opening. Has a very specific sound and attitude that reflects, I think, everything that rap became. Right from the first da da da, you're like, what the fuck? The change between the heavy and the clean is
very dynamic. Very dynamic.
Yeah, and it's so like it's not where it's like it's there and then it punches you in the face awkwardly. It is just it's full, and you're just like, whoa. It's one of those, like, almost like the horror movie where you get scared and you love it, gets the adrenaline and the endorphins pumping. Oh,
yeah,
so good.
Yeah.
And then it's a great introduction, or it was for me, of the Crosby DeMartini work and how they work so well together. They complement each other on really. The only other band I could think of that like worked as well with two guitar players is Def Leppard.
Oh, no, come on, Guns N' Roses. I mean, Izzy Stradlin and
Slash.
But
I think it was more. I love Izzy, and I know what Izzy did, but I think everyone just refers to Slash.
That's a mistake.
And yeah, you like I mean, did Izzy do a lot of solos? I mean,
he played the hard guitar parts.
I agree. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I agree. But with this, it was like they would switch off. It's this solo, then this solo, this solo, and this solo.
No, I know what you're saying.
And it was really appreciative because you could hear the little stylistic differences between them, and it didn't seem like there was competition ever. And that's what I liked, especially with the song.
Yeah, they both knew their part in the band, and that's why it wasn't a competition. So it's funny. One thing with Ratt, and you just made this come to my mind, and I was listening to the album today again, is the way they arrange their songs is very interesting. So like there's some there's some verses, and one in particular where they're incorporating the chorus in the verse before you get to the chorus. And it's almost like setting it up. I think it might be I don't want to jump ahead. And also there's a couple of times in this where they'll do verse, chorus, right? And then they'll go into the bridge and bring it back into the verse.
Yes.
Who does that?
Right.
It's so good.
It really is
good. I love how they have no
it's
rules.
Almost like, exactly. It's almost like they weren't afraid to experiment. Let's try it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And it's so really, many people were afraid to do that.
Yeah. The 80s was so formulaic with arrangement. I mean, people were just like, intro, verse, bridge, chorus, solo, verse, bridge, chorus, solo. It's just it got boring. Yeah. All right. Track 2, You're in Trouble. God, again, I love the jungle intro here. Bobby Blotzer, he was so creative. He was such a great player. He filled up every second of space with those drums. They're panning it left, right, up, down, back, forward. These drums are produced perfectly. His snare is so thick. It's so warm. It's great. Juan plays so well with Bobby. A lot of times I say how I like this, these bass lines, get up over the 12th fret, give me the runs. This one, you got these two guitar players, like you said, doing what they're doing. So Juan decides to take the boom, boom, boom. He's coming down on like these root notes, and it's really working for me. I love it. We're going to get the great guitars left and right, but I have a theory here. So this is one ding I'm going to put on the album. Warren DeMartini's guitar sound and Robin Crosby's guitar sound are the same guitar sound. Okay.
Yes.
What I think happened was it's a first album. I think they went into the studio and they probably had like this 1967 Plexi Marshall head that just sounded amazing, and they both wanted it. Like, like they were like, well, we got this nice JCM 800. I mean, it's not this Plexi, but it's very good. And, Robin Crosby's like, all right, Warren, well, go ahead, take it. I'll take this Plexi over here. And I think they both just went with the best head in the studio and struggled to get a lot of separation between their sounds. But it's a great guitar sound. So I'll forgive it. I'll forgive it. Fee, what do you think of You're in Trouble?
Well, kind of same. And, I got a few notes on this, but I thought the purpose was like getting a bigger sound by having them sound the same. You know what I mean? I don't know, much about some of the other technical stuff you were talking about, but I felt that it just made it that much harder and heavier. And like Ed, we talk about all the time, like makes me want to run through a fucking wall, like stuff like that. And when you get bigger and heavier like that, like it does, it brings that energy. So I thought that was done on purpose, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I'd like to know more about that though, like see what those guys, well, obviously Robin can't, but see what those guys, Warren had to say about it or something. This was a really weird song for me. 'Cause like, I love the chorus. I love the heaviness of it. I love the guitars in there. And, I love everything about the song. I felt that the bass intro could have been a little more, like play it with some feel, you know what I mean? Like slap it a little bit, but it fit well when the guitars came in and as a whole composition, but when it stood alone, I just felt it was a little bit emptier than I wanted it a little more, a little more like, what's that Guns N' Roses tune? Like
Rocket Queen.
Yeah.
Rocket Queen.
I mean, like I wanted a little more like that, like coming in on it.
Agreed.
And I just didn't get it. And I was a little disappointed, but as soon as the guitars and everything else came in, I was like, oh man, this bass is great, So I don't know. And I was curious to hear your take on it, Ed, because that was really my main takeaway on this song. But I just fucking love the hook in this song. The chorus like is just so good.
So kind of funny. I'm a little opposite of you guys on this, but firstly, I'm a massive fan of Bobby and Juan. And I think the fact that I really don't talk about him much in my notes, I think is actually a good thing because they were just so rock solid and they did their job to perfection, in my opinion. However, on this song, I actually love the bass and drum groove in the opening. What I hate is the bass sound. I think that is a horrific bass tone.
Really?
And I'm like, okay, I can kind of get it. You're going with just a simple, bass drum. You kind of want to build up the song. The chorus kicks in. I'm like, great. Okay. It's a pretty standard Ratt sound now.
Yep.
What you're going to consider a standard Ratt sound. But then they go into verse 2. And I hate the fact that the rhythm guitar is kind of accenting and matching the bass. That's where I think it goes completely off the rails for me. I think the rhythm guitar should have changed the rhythm and played something that worked with that bass groove because the bass is very active and it just, maybe they accented the wrong notes in the bass groove or what, but it turned me off so bad. The one bright spot though is there's a very short bridge right before the solo. And it's real quick, and I'm like, oh my! It's like, and then I'm like, whoa, that's fantastic! And then they kick into the solos, and I'm like, all right, this is good, and then it goes right back, and I'm like, fuck!
Yeah,
it's that too many. It was just didn't do it for me. This song.
Yeah, there are a couple things that kind of have teasers like that too, with that short bridge, like short solo, short bridge kind of thing, But I got you.
Yeah, where they'll toss in a little piece of music that they wrote specifically to tee up a solo.
Yeah.
Or like a weird like pre-bridge or post-bridge or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's the piece of music they wrote. And it'll be this great thing. It's like, oh, I kind of wanted to hear more of that. Like, what was that? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I think what we're all saying is kind of the same thing. For a song that had a really loose jungle beat. It feels like they got a little stiff in a couple of spots.
Yeah,
Maybe they should have
absolutely.
explored some better
Yeah.
grooves.
But
for
also,
that
actually,
tune.
to bounce back to something you mentioned where you did the Van Halen comparison, just like Michael Anthony, Juan needs to be given props for making the vocals what they are. I think
Absolutely.
he is just so underrated for what he did. And one of like a great memory I have, and I wish I said it earlier, I forgot right before COVID came. I got to see Ratt at a small little club in Foxborough, Massachusetts on a Monday night. Me and my
Oh,
buddy
nice.
are like, we're going to go to this. There's going to be maybe 100 people here. We're like, it's going to be empty. We get there. The place was sold out. 1,100 people packed into this tiny place. And we're watching Steve Piercy and Juan Crocier with hired guns all around them play the Ratt tunes like they just wrote them. They sounded amazing. And this was right before COVID. So props to them, man.
Shit.
It was awesome. Awesome show.
You're talking about that little club down by the stadium, right?
Yes.
And yeah, I saw LA Guns
Six Strings
there,
or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw LA Guns there a while back. It's a nice little club. Not bad.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually a video of Ratt playing live. I'm not sure where it is. It's a famous video, though. It's like, I don't know, but it's one of their first shows. And, oh, man, it's so good. Stephen Piercy is like on the money for this one. I mean, his voice, now is pretty much gone like most of these guys. But back then, he really was bringing it. So track 3, I mean, here we go, right? Round and round. So we get a killer video to go along with this song. Again, there's going to be 3 on the album, but we get great video. It was directed by Don Letts, and Ratt's manager, Marshall Burrell, got his uncle, Milton Burrell, to star in the video. I just love it. The tune opens up with literally one of my favorite hair metal guitar riffs of all time. Like, this riff is fucking amazing. This is a hit. This is how you write a hit song. I've always loved Stephen Piercy's vocals. He doesn't have the best technique, but it's just cool. And it's not like back then, some of these singers like Janie Lane, and listen, don't get me wrong, Janie Lane had pipes for days. This kid could sing. Bret Michaels. I mean, even guys like Don Dokken and, Vince Neil, like, Stephen Piercy knew how to toe the line between being like tough. He had a tough, sexy, cool voice, and he's delivering like some pretty badass lyrics. I mean, it is hair metal, so it gets goofy in spots, but I fucking love it. And on this song, yeah. Fee, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is most people's introduction to Ratt right here, and it was mine. And
Vito.
It's great. It's one of the classics. It's one of the best tunes they ever did. I will say this, and Ed knows this about me, is that with some of the bigger bands, it's like their anthems, if you will. This is the Ratt anthem, like with Aerosmith with Dream On, with Zeppelin with Stairway, with the Eagles with Hotel California. I just hit next most of the time because I've heard them 70 million times,
Yes.
And it was, like, love the tune, good tune, can't say enough good things about it. I'll let you guys kind of take the lead on it, but for me, it's definitely a skip song just because I've heard it thousands and thousands of times, and it's like occasionally I'll let it play through, but most of the time I just kind of skip through it, but I love the tune. I mean, I love the tune. It's great, but it's just, if I hear it once, it'll earworm me for days, and yeah.
Right.
But I absolutely love the song. Yep.
So it's funny you said that because Round and Round hasn't got there for me yet. I still, this is when it comes on, I'm listening to the whole thing. I don't care. But there is one song that I can no longer even listen to one note. Like if I'm in my car in the morning and it comes on the radio, I listen to that like mic radio, whatever. First Note, Sweet Child of Mine. And I almost broke my finger trying to shut off my radio a couple of times. Like, I'm not fucking doing it again. I'm not fucking listening to that fucking song again. I don't care how good it is. It's fucking done. Ed, what do you think of Round and Round?
Oh, that's so funny. I actually enjoy hearing songs that are, like that are just the masterpiece of these bands. Occasionally, I will get sick of them and I'll skip them, but most of the time, I'll listen to them. And the reason being is I like to start to like break it down and try to find what else I can hear that I never noticed before on it. I might mess with it where I might pan it, fully left, fully right, or partially one way, or maybe drop the basses out, drop the treble out, something like that, just to try to see if I can pick anything else out. Because there's a reason it's a masterpiece. And I like to find I always find I learn something new each time. But as far as this goes, I mean, enough can't be said about this song. It blew me away when I heard it. I think when everyone heard it, everyone became a Ratt fan. It was just it's so good. The guitar work throughout this song is so good. It's smooth, it's energetic, and it doesn't overpower the song. Like
Right.
most of the stuff, and what I really appreciate about Ratt in this album, as great as DeMartini is and Crosby was, and all of them, Blotzer and Juan and Steve, they worked as a team. And it
Yes.
wasn't look at me, look at me, look at me. It was look at us. Look at what we can do. And I loved it. The bass and drums complement this song so perfectly. The vocals and lyrics are great. Add in the production and the effects. I mean, let's not forget, the whole round, 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 and round. I mean, add in that little bit of
Whoa,
effect
whoa,
in the
whoa, whoa,
delay.
whoa, 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 whoa. Will you do that again? Because that's not how the song goes.
No, but I'm trying to describe the effect. The effect that's in it, There's that little delay effect in it.
What song was that? I'm just
Uh,
fucking with you.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
I just got done playing a gig last night where I played 38 different songs, of which I think I knew maybe half a dozen before on how to play them before I played them. So I got a lot of
Oh,
songs
shit.
going on in my head right now. But yeah, so there's that delay. You know what I'm talking about, though, the part.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
and I think, hearing that was also something that I don't recall. I mean, granted, I was young, but I don't recall hearing stuff like that before this album. And it was kind of like one of those where you're like, oh wow, that's cool. How'd they do that? Type things.
Right.
And I really enjoyed it. Overall, I think this is really close to one of those perfect songs that was written because everything just works so well together. And lo and behold, it's a hit,
Yeah. I think something you said really rang true with me. Rat was a band, and they played like a band, and they wrote like a band, and they recorded like a band, and it kind of reminds me of somebody else, uh, Bon Jovi, back in the day.
Yes.
They played and wrote and performed, and I mean, yeah, I mean it was Bon Jovi's band, but Richie Sambora played such a huge part in that. Without Sambora, you're not getting
Right.
those sounds. Dave Bryant, Tico Torres. I mean, this is a great band, and they wrote great music, and they all were very good at their instruments. I mean, I was never a huge Bon Jovi fan in the day, just because I love big black sticky hair. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate Bon Jovi. They were the best at what they did, and fuck yeah, this band kind of reminds me of that same idea. So track 4, In Your Direction. Take this one. The intro. This is 80s intro 101. Okay. This is a very I've heard this intro 1,000 times on 1,000 80s albums, but it works. I love it. Juan Crocier pounding out the bass on this song. Nothing busy, but just hitting hard is the only way I can put it. Um, and then, it's like I said earlier, I kind of tipped my hat on this. As much as I love the left right guitar work between, Warren and Robin, I wish their sounds were a little different. And Fee, I agree with you 100%. Having them both have this giant sound was great. But the problem is, I was having trouble differentiating who was playing what. And that is something that I enjoy doing as a guitar player and a songwriter is I like to be able to tell whose guitar sound is whose, right? And this way I can say, oh, that's Warren playing that lick, and oh, that's Robin playing that lick. And I wasn't sure because as rhythm guitar players go, they're pretty equally matched. I mean, it's once we get into the leads is where Warren DeMartini starts to really separate himself from Robin Crosby. So when they're playing the rhythms, they both are, leaning on the whammy bar a little bit. We're getting some squeals, some harmonics, but they're doing very different things. But the sounds are so similar that I can't really differentiate who's doing what. And it kind of took the fun out of the album a little bit for me when I was going back to listen to it for this podcast. But just listening, it was fine. What did you think, Fee?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. That like 80s Hero being 101 on that intro. My only note was just so groovy, great intro. I loved it. It was good. One thing I kind of noticed on this, it was kind of like there was a weird mix when I was listening on the buds between left right, kind of coming in and out on things, and maybe I don't know, maybe there was like a playback error going on with my equipment, but I kind of doubt it. But it was just some, listen to it like you guys were saying earlier, like listen to it through a different lens, if you will, looking at it through a different lens. And I thought it was kind of like a weird left-right mix going on. And this song overall had a very different feel on the bass for me, which I enjoyed more. Like again, I became more of a Juan fan throughout this entire process, preparing for the podcast. And this was one of the tunes I highlighted for him as being solid on. Like I really loved his part in this. The solo, I thought this was like the one solo on the album that didn't really fit as well with the song as the rest of the solos do. I don't know what you guys, if any of you guys have a take on that, but most Ratt tunes, the solo is like spot on, fits, comes in, comes out exactly where you want it, where you expect it. Great feel. And then this one comes in, I'm like, what the fuck was that? I don't know. That other than that was about it for me.
Well, Fee, it's funny that you said that because I didn't mention this in my notes, but you do notice on this one, and I actually, it hit my ears so hard that I think maybe I didn't listen to the solo because they write a different piece of music to go behind the guitar solo here, right? So this is its own piece of music. It doesn't appear anywhere else in the song. And it did kind of make the solo feel a little lunky because it did work, but it kind of didn't work. I appreciated it because they were taking chances, and I like when artists do that. But yeah, you definitely heard that without knowing you heard it. It was weird. And they definitely were experimenting with the panning on this song and the whole album, really. But they went a little nutty on this one with the left and right. Like, go left, go right, go, take that out.
Yeah, it kind of took away from the song a little bit for me. But I still like the song, but it took a little bit off it for me.
A little distracting. Yeah. And with Juan's bass, I mean, you heard it. It was there, dude. This is some of his best bass work on the album. It just hits wicked hard. Ed, what did you think of this one?
Interesting. Really good opening music until the guitar riff for the chorus. I think it doesn't flow at all. I think it just turned the song instant garbage for me. And what's funny is like Desi earlier in this discussion, you mentioned that they would write solos and write songs around the solo.
Yeah.
Okay. And you brought up that they wrote separate music for this under the guitar solo. My note is literally guitar solo, on the other hand, is awesome as well as the tracks behind it. If they wrote the song from there out, it would have been an awesome song. I think everything other than the guitar solo just sucks.
Oh.
And I'm including the music behind the solo because I'm like, oh my god, this is great. It's energetic. The music behind it and the solo kind of works for it, but it doesn't fit the rest of the song because the rest of the song sucks.
Yeah, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
It's its own like fucking 7-second song in the middle of the song.
But it's a better song than the rest of the song. The rest of the 3 minutes.
You know what? I agree. I'm going to give you that because I really like the music behind that solo, but it just didn't fit the song. It's jarring. It's jarring though because it doesn't fit the song, so it sounds lunky.
Yes, no, absolutely. But yeah, I think the solo and the music behind it is better and would have been a better song than the song they wrote.
And now I have
And
to listen to it again. Yes.
oh my god.
Yep.
But I'm gonna be honest with you. There's not a chorus or a verse on this album or a bridge on this album that I don't like. I don't fast forward past anything on this album. I love all of these songs, and that's a tip of the hat, but this fucking songwriting is really good. Track
Not
5,
this
She
one.
Wants Money. Um, so I love this tune. This song moves on the beat. Like the whole song just moves on the beat. And this whole album is driven along by Bobby Blotzer. And it kind of reminds me of Shout at the Devil, the way that whole album is built on top of Tommy Lee. The only difference is the rest of the band can actually play as well, and they have a singer that can sing. So loosely, they can sing. You know, he's much better than Vince Neil is.
Yeah.
We get some really great key. We get a great key change in the bridge. Oh, I love it. And this has that repetitive chorus, but it's competitive in that good way. So I love this song. She Wants Money. It's fucking great. It's a lot of fun. Fee, what do you think?
Yeah, same thing. I like this. I believe this is one of the ones that Robin had written with his previous band, the whatever they were called, you know.
Right.
Um, Same, like it just flows, you know, like front to back. It's a good tune. You know, I've wrote one of my notes is about the solos, just perfect for the song. You know, this is one of the ones where I was like, wow, like Robin's really got it here, you know, like it, and this is one of his tunes. So I felt really, really strong about that with the bridge. Everything was good. My other note on this was I felt like it showcased a bit of Stephen Pearcy's range on this tune too. I don't know why, but I felt this was the first song where it was like a little bit different than the standard Stephen, you know, Pearcy voice, you know, going on in there. And I love it. I love the tune too. You know, it's a fun tune, you know, like a little bit different from the theme of the rest of the album, just a fun tune.
So Ed, what did you think of She Wants Money?
You know what? I gotta agree with both you guys. If I think this song just screams Sunset Strip to me. I think like this, I've never been there. It's something I always wanted to experience, never got to. And when I hear this, I just think of, you know, early 80s, Sunset Strip, the club sound just kind of developing, maybe even late 70s. But it's such a great LA dirty sound that I loved it. And I love that this is like a different tone and more of a raw sound than the previous tracks. Because I was, you know, you're like, ah, you kind of start to get okay, it sounds the same. Let's change up the tones a little. Let's mix it up a little. And then you get this, and it's like a little gem. And it really made me happy to hear it. The song is really good. It was such a pleasant surprise. I almost wish it was. You know what? I guess it's probably in a good spot because round and round, you're just blown away. So you have the first two, then round and round, then in your direction, which I just fucking hated.
It brings you back.
And then it brings me back. This was like, oh, this is fucking great tune, great song. And it wasn't something that I thought I would like because I never heard of it, and I'm like, kind of like a cheesy name. She Wants Money, you know. But I loved it. It did. It had that, like it felt like the parents to what became the LA sound. I loved it.
Yeah, some fun lyrics in the verse in that song that I really just enjoy. Okay, so track 6, Lack of Communication. So fuck if I don't love this overly simple guitar riff that starts it off. It's so good. It's so easy. I mean, I think I learned it in 2 seconds. I was like, damn, I could be a guitar player, you know? I love Stephen Pearcy on this. We're getting these super heavy background vocals. And what I love about this one is in the bridge, we're going to get a split between Juan Crocier and Stephen Pearcy, where Stephen's going to sing half the bridge and Juan's going to sing the other half of the bridge. And I really loved it. It's such a hook. And on the album, I can't unhear it. Every time I'm like, oh shit. And I actually realized it was happening when I saw the live video of them playing that concert I was telling you about. I'm like, oh, Juan Crocier sings that. And then I went back and listened to the album, like, Juan Crocier sings that. And it's so good. And Bobby fills every second of this song
Oh,
with just
so
these
good.
really cool, busy, complicated, panned, incredible drums. I love it. Fee, lack of communication. What do you think?
Agree with everything you just said there. This is probably my favorite song on the album. I just love this fucking song. Like it just
Fucking me
again
too.
hits you right off the start. That heavy guitar intro is so good. Um, I even like this is one of the shorter solos on it. It's really quick, but it fits the song perfect, and the backing vocals are a little bit deeper and like heavier on this. Like this is just a heavy,
Fuck yeah.
heavy tune. So good. Um, and I like it because it's like there's no fluff in this at all, like it's just a heavy, hard hitting tune, really deep lyrics, really deep, just everything was good for me on this tune. I really love it a lot. Favorite on the album.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Me too. It's close. It's right there for me.
Yeah.
Ed, what do you think?
So,
Here it comes.
I'm sorry.
What the fuck?
Everything after the show is just gonna be shit,
No, it's not. It's not. No, I like the song. I love it. The opening riff. I think it's great. And what's funny is I'm usually not a fan of when the music and melody are the same. And it's like the lack of communication is just the same as the melody is the same as the music, and it works, and it works really well. I think here, vocally, I was just tired at this point of Piercy, where it's just the same sound, and I get it. I'm sure it had nothing to do with him. It had to do with production and just they wanted to go for a sound, and I love his voice. I love him to death. But I think the band is a machine throughout this song. This is it's a real standout on the album because the song is just really well done. And I agree with you. I like I said earlier, I know I didn't mention Bobby. I don't think in any of my notes, and it's not for any reason other than the guy's a beast and does his job so well that there's nothing to really say. Like if I had to hire a drummer right now, he's top of the list. One of the guys at the top.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
good. Fee, right before the guitar solo, when Steven goes lack of, and they take all the effect off his voice, and then it
Yes,
just cranks into that solo.
Yeah.
Oh, so effective. And then
that
I
was
agree
great.
with you. I do agree with you. Every song kind of has the same tone. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like everything.
exactly.
And it does start to wear on you a little bit by the end. You kind of like, but that's what I was saying. I kind of wish they had shot for a couple of different guitar sounds here and there.
Yes,
And we
yeah,
are
you
going to
got to
get
mix it up.
one. You got to mix it up a little. But it was a good formula and it's a thick album. And, it's so old, dude. It really
Yep,
held up over time.
really,
Uh,
I agree.
so track 7, Back for More. So again, we're going to get this great music video here. And I remember seeing this as a kid because, okay, we're going to get my hero here and my two heroes here back then. Anyway, Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee playing the part of police officers. Oh, I fucking love this video. And this, yeah. And this feels like the beginning of like rock stars putting their beautiful girlfriends in their videos. Because after this we get Tawny Tannigan and Whitesnake, we get Bobby Brown and Cherry Pie. So these guys were kind of Ratt. I mean, I think they don't get the come ups they deserve for a lot of the things that they were creating. They did a lot of things first and really great. As far as the track goes, the dynamics between Robin Crosby's 12-string guitar and the band is so well produced. It just hits. And when they do add these dynamics into their songs, like you said, the transitions are very smooth. Like it almost doesn't even feel like Robin Crosby's playing a 12-string acoustic, but he is.
Yeah,
And it's really great. The song is arranged perfectly. The vocals and the lyrics are like addictive on this. Um, Bobby's drum sound is just perfect. Juan plays so well on the beat here. I love the split guitar solo. It's super melodic, and in the first half, I'm guessing it's Robin Crosby. And I'm guessing the back end is probably Warren DeMartini because it's super greasy. Um, it's just great. And yeah, I love it, man. I think this song is fucking killer. Fee, what do you think?
Yeah, same. This is a great, great song. You know, this is another one of the first tunes I heard from Rat. Because it was on there. It was also on the Rat EP that they had before, before this LP came out, and I just loved every bit of it. The only thing I was kind of like missing on was like, when they transitioned from that acoustic into the end of the guitars, I wish they like kind of like just slid their fingers up the, like I don't even know what that sound is. You know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
I wish they would have done that. I would have fucking fallen over if I heard that. I was like, every time I listen to it though, I'm like, man, this would be so cool right here.
Like
I
a
don't
pick
even know what
scrape.
it is. What's it called?
Like a pick scrape where you drag the pick across the screen. It's got that little scratch.
Yeah, something like that. Just coming out of that acoustic would have been. I thought that would have been that would have made the song like the best song of all time. I don't know why, but it was
Of all
good.
time.
It was
Fee,
good.
can you give us that? Can you give us that fantasy guitar lick again, please?
Probably not.
Woo woo. So with Ed's round, round and round. Woo
Yeah.
woo. We got a new song here. Okay.
Um, but yeah, I just love this. And then Juan really gets on it in that second verse. He really gets on the bass in this one. I thought that was cool. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in this. And how they just solo out, all the way through the outro and stuff. And you're right, that probably is Warren, just because he can, he's more that guy, But yeah, this is really like when I had the earbuds with the noise canceling on and everything. I wrote on my notes like, this is my fave with the buds on, like the way they just mixed everything in here. I thought was really cool, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the song. It was fun. I love this song.
I couldn't agree more. Ed, what do you think?
Yeah, awesome opening to this tune with the clean and just the bam, bam, bam. It's so just, honestly, I get fucking an erection.
Nice.
It's so well done the way they did it, and then it just kicks in. And really, I love what Juan's playing in the background in this. I really love the bass line for this song, because I think there's a lot of hidden gems in it that I didn't notice, honestly, until I listened to it for the podcast. I went, how have I never heard this before? Because it's really juicy. So kudos to him on that. And then him working with Bobby, just the way everything fits together on the song. I think it's hard to believe for me that it wasn't like, some hit machine wrote this, because everything just fits so well together. It's like, how did, these, 5 individuals get together and work so cleanly as a band with, at least I'm assuming no egos, no me, I need to be louder, I need this, because it really is a masterpiece in my opinion. It's such an underrated song for what was considered a hit for them, I guess. And it's obviously another great Crosby DeMartini solo in rhythm, the way they switch off and everything. And the chorus just super catchy, especially like in the end when you have the guitar soloing under the chorus as they're going out. I'm like, fuck, if that is not the fattest sound you've ever heard. It's just, it's great. Big fan of this song.
So, the listeners might not know that I actually wrote and recorded the theme song for Breaking Vinyl in my studio. I'd like to get a watch score on that. Fee, what do you think of the theme song for Breaking Vinyl and the vocals, and specifically the vocals?
That'll be a show in itself. Oh my God, would that be a fun show?
Okay, let's move on. You can write in. People can write in on that. So track 8, The Morning After. Dude, Bobby Blotzer is fucking going off on this track, okay? This Bobby Blotzer like literally loses his mind on this track, and I love it. I love Stephen Pearcy on this track. His melody choices really work for me on this. his overall feel is just, it's just so good. He's telling this story, and the solo rips out of the gate on this one. And the resolve of the solo, the end with this dual harmony, it's fucking brilliant guitar playing. And they are working so well together. I fucking love this song. Fee, what do you think?
Yeah, same thing, and almost the exact same notes, honestly. Another cool intro to the tune. I thought that was cool, and and the way Steven gets that say bye into the solo like that.
Yeah.
That part just kills it for me so good. But yeah, coming out of the coming out of that solo is my favorite part. That resolve there, like you were talking about. A little bit, Juan gets a little funky thing going on, and then transitioning into that bridge and whatnot. It's just good. I just enjoy this song. It just slays. You're right, and Bobby just kills it on this one. Such a
so
good,
good.
such a good song. One of definitely.
Yeah.
I can't say it's like one of my favorites, because there's like too many like just killer tracks on this album. But if this was on any of their other albums, it'd probably be one of my favorite Rat tunes, on the album.
Yeah. I'll tell you, one other strength of this album was they were writing these songs for a, 17-year-old kid, Like these songs they hit for me. I mean, how many times was I leaving some girl's house? How many times? I mean, all of these songs just really resonated with me as a young teenage fucking crazy person, So, Ed, what
That's
did
an
you think?
understatement. So this song, honestly, this was a total surprise to me, and I absolutely loved it. The first time I heard the song, I love the drums in this. Bobby's playing on this whole album is just completely under the radar, underrated. He's just been great. This is another diversion from the standard Rat sound, and it really works for me. Musically, it's an absolute gem. Everyone is playing amazing parts that complement each other perfectly. And I know I've said it on numerous songs, but that's what really I enjoy most about this album so far and this band is just the teamwork and just the us against the world attitude that the album gives off and the sound of the album gives off. Because honestly, there are very few albums that it's not show off, but when you get done listening, you're like, that was fucking awesome. Holy shit. And that's what this does.
Yeah. And you got to remember too, when listening to this record, what other records were available at the time
Yeah.
in this genre. And I mean, this thing fucking stomps a mud hole in the ass of what was out at the time.
Yes.
It's
agree.
crazy.
I mean, and I think that's what we tend to forget. I think when we think about these songs, you think you're listening to it today, whether it's 10, 20, 30 years later, 40 years later, depending on when the album came out, and you're listening to it today and kind of seeing, does it still sound good? Obviously the music is subjective. If it meant something to you when you first heard it, it's going to mean more. However, if you listen to it just to kind of analyze it on just not well, this was an A, this should have been a B and stuff like that, and just listen to it for, is it fun? Does it flow? Does it work together? This album really just holds up so well, and I think it set an example that not too many people followed. I think it very quickly, the scene just exploded where everyone just saturated everything and diluted it, and I feel like Ratt got kind of lost in that, even though they were one of the super groups back then. They weren't. I think people liked the simple and only paid attention to the flashy, the I'm yelling the loudest type thing, instead of what this actually is, which is just a great fucking band working as a band and not as individuals.
Well, a big part, I think, too, of this thing is that Ratt struggled to get signed out of LA. They were a huge band. I mean, they were selling out everything. And, these guys, like, people were looking up to these guys. Like, Robin Crosby was a hero in Hollywood, but some of these other bands had already been signed, So they're looking up to Robin Crosby, but they're rock stars. And, Ratt is like, why aren't we getting signed? We're selling out these clubs. We're making this great music. And for some reason, the record executives just weren't seeing what was there. And, eventually they would get their deal and they would, go on to have great success. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So these final two tracks, I'm gonna just mention them together before I go into it. So it's track 9, I'm Insane, track 10, Scene of the Crime. I first had written, it blows my mind that this is the worst song on the album because I love it. And I had said that about I'm Insane. And then I listened to Scene of the Crime. I'm like, okay, I got to move that down because I like I'm Insane better than Scene of the Crime. But
Yep.
wow. So I'm Insane. The vocals are big. They're hot. The guitar solo is hot. I mean, it's a very simple song compared to some of the other ones on the album, but it's a banger. It's a banger. It's one of the most aggressive songs on the album. And I fucking love it. And that just shows you how strong this album is because I also love Scene of the Crime. And I had to choose one of these songs to be the song I would cut, but I wouldn't cut either of them. So, Scene of the Crime, I mean, I'm Insane. The vocals, like I said, they're great. Solo's great. It's just so good. I love it. Fee, what do you think of I'm Insane?
I'm with you. This is another one that I really enjoyed. Like, when you listen on the radio and stuff, Ratt, you get the same, handful of tunes all the time with Round and Round and like Lay It Down and, like going through the years with them. But, so I was glad that you guys gave me the opportunity to revisit this album because this is one of those tunes where I'm like, wow, this is a great song. It's actually another one of Robin's songs from his it's Mac Meta, and I don't know, like I found myself really diving more into the two Robin tunes, Robin's previous band tunes on this album a little bit more this time, and it made it fun for me, and this is one of the songs that kind of made it fun for me. Yeah, I like the chorus, how they kind of fade in and out the vocals and like whatever and overlap maybe a little bit. I thought that, definitely sends the message of I'm insane, like your point taken, sir, like well done.
Yeah,
It was
totally.
just cool. And then, the sirens coming out of the solo and stuff, like it was just great, like well put together song. I like it.
Yeah, I think this is Rat's best album as a body of work. It's one of those special albums that just don't come out every day where you just kind of hit on all cylinders. Ed, what did you think of this tune?
I think this is another just dirty LA sound, and I really like it. The song lets you know why Ratt is considered one of the pioneers of the LA sound and the scene of the 80s in general. Um, the song is good, but the guitar solo it didn't do anything for me. I thought it was kind of just didn't fit, I think, the rest of the song or the album. I guess it's kind of the opposite of the other song there that I was saying that they needed to write around the guitar solo. Sorry, I can't think of the song right now. But the music in general is great, and I love the song itself. So, yeah.
So we are at the last track, track 10, Scene of the Crime. So I'm going to say it now. It blows my mind that this is the worst song on the album because I love it. This one is produced differently than the rest of the album, though. So this song actually sounds to me like it was recorded in a different session altogether. We've got different guitar sounds. The background vocals are very thin, which is kind of a problem on it. One of the reasons I picked it for one of the worst songs on the album. I love the lyrics on this one. It has a really great bridge, but this is the one where that bridge is strangely placed after the chorus into a verse, which is so fucking cool. I really love that choice. It worked really well. But again, my knock on this one is the background vocals are strangely thin. Like for an album that is like just chock full of these ultra thick, ultra heavy, ultra warm background vocals. This just feels like they set one crochet up in a room, was like, go ahead, kid, sing the background vocals. And it kind of took away, but yeah, that's my feeling on Scene of the Crime. And I'd only cut it because I have to cut one. Fee, what do you think?
Yeah, like the more I kind of go through my notes and just us talking about it, I think I'm with you on that. Like I'd only cut it because I have to cut one. Um, I'm I'm trying to think about what you mean by the backing vocals being kind of thin, because I thought this was kind of like a good highlight for Juan in a way. I don't know. I like the sound of them, on it. Um, but that's for a different conversation. But I really like the intro and the vocal, the I want to rock, but you dared to roll, like I
So
don't know.
good.
It just kind of started off really solid for me on that with that vocal and solos were good. But yeah, I mean, I guess overall I thought the bass line was kind of simple on this song. I don't know, like it didn't really do a lot for me when I was listening more um more critically throughout the album. I thought this was kind of one of the lesser ones for that. Um, the second solo kills it. I kind of loved how they came out of it, and just a cool outro. I don't know. Either way, good tune. I like the tune, but yeah, you're talking if you got to cut one, this is probably the one.
But Fee, it's funny because as soon as you started like kind of like saying the lyrics, I'm like, oh, wait a second, maybe this isn't the worst one. Because that
What's
is
it?
a great opening line, isn't it?
Absolutely
Oh my God. Well, I knocked on your door. I mean, it's all
right.
right there. He's painting quite a picture, isn't he?
Yep. Yep.
Ed, what did you think of Scene of the Crime? Final cut.
I think it's a huge sound to open of the song. I love the opening. I love the guitar. It was a great pleasure because I thought they had like it was completely different than everything on the album. I wish because it's got like this super pop rock verse and chorus, and I wish they had a little more diversity from this song to like Round and Round. Like if
Yeah.
this album had a couple songs that were a little more in between, and they were like, or even like Lack of Communication for like probably one of the heavier songs on the album, something between that and this. And those were the two extremes on it because I actually enjoyed the song a lot. I think the lyrics are actually cheesy, um, and I get
Yes.
they're just what they were back then, and I get it. But I like the call out and the answers and all that stuff. It was really cool. It had the the great what was trendy then, the harmonized solos, with the two guitar players. It was great overall though. Good song, very enjoyable. I just wish it didn't end the album.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if it
Ed,
was
but
placed somewhere else, it would have blended in a little better because it would have been different, but it would have been able to be brought back home.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. If they
Uh,
switched this in like the morning after or something like that,
Yeah,
might have made it pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, totally. But Ed, you said this is what was trendy back then, but really when this album was released, or at least maybe when it was released, it was because again, it was put on hold for so long. These songs were written probably way before this album was released. But I feel like these guys were cutting ground with this. They were creating
well,
this
yeah.
thing.
In as far as a harmonized solo, I mean, you had like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden
Yeah,
doing it
okay.
before
Yep.
them, and that's what I was
Yep.
referencing. Not for this genre so much
Yeah.
as it was already popular there, so they pulled it into this, and it's great. Like I
Yeah.
said, I heard the song. I went, you know what? I totally dig this. I really do. I dig the song.
You know what's funny, Ed, that you say that? Uh KK Downing and Glenn Tipton, very similar, right?
Yep.
Like you're getting a lot like you get the greasy player with the fucking more melodic player.
Yep.
But what I do appreciate about Judas Priest is those guys had like their own sounds.
Oh
And it
yeah.
really separated that
Yeah.
left right guitar feeling, which again is
Yes.
one of my knocks on this record.
Yep.
Okay, so that's it. We broke it down. Let's quickly get into favorite track. For me, I mean, come on. I'm with you, Fee. Lack of communication, really great, but I mean, it's Round and Round. It just is. Fee, favorite track.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with lack of communication. I don't know. Every time, I just love it. I don't know. It's a great song.
Yeah, it is. It is. And Ed, what do you think?
I agree with you, Des. Round and Round. Although
Yeah.
if we took that out just because it was the big one, I'd actually pick The Morning After.
Yeah, also a
Nice.
great song, but Wanted Man too. I mean, Wanted Man.
Yeah. Oh, there's a million. Yeah, there's a lot of good songs on this, but I think a lot of them just have that standard Rat sound that became
Yeah.
them. And I don't know if it was them or producers that made them sound like that, but
Oh, it was the producer. It's already been
yeah.
said that he was
Yeah.
forced to make them sound this way. And they
yeah.
actually fought it. They didn't want to all to sound like this, but the producer was, directed by the label to make these albums. So, what track would I cut? It would be Scene of the Crime, reluctantly. Fee, you agree, Scene of the Crime?
Yes. Yeah. Same. And again, reluctantly, I wouldn't really change anything about this album or this band. Honestly, I just.
Nor would I. And Ed, what song would you cut?
I would Rush to cut In Your Direction.
That's a mistake.
I just don't like that song. I don't like that song.
So
everything else I love though.
Yeah. So this is where we have to replace one member of the band. Who would replace it with? So, all right, this is one of those bands. I don't want to replace anybody because everybody is doing their job. And without anybody on this album, it's a completely different album. So it comes basically down to me for either Juan Crocier or Bobby Blotzer and replacing them with their, bizarro person, which is going to be either Jeff Pilson or Mick Brown. The reason I'm going to go with Bobby Blotzer being cut and replacing with Mick Brown is only because I think you have to have Juan Crocier's vocals on this to keep it sounding like Ratt. And I think Mick Brown probably could have pulled off something close enough to this to keep it sounding the same. So that's my choice. Fee, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Des. I was going through this and, I was back and forth. Like my first listen through, I was like, fucking Juan is out, By my like fourth listen to, I was like, Juan is the only one not out,
Yeah.
And I think, and it's very, I don't know, not to get into the drama, but I think like, the recent years drama with Bobby and all of that kind of dickish, moves and stuff with the, Ratt name and all of that.
Totally.
So yeah, fuck you, Bobby, get out of here.
Fuck him.
Replace him. I don't know. Like, I think it would have been fun to kind of have some like Tommy Lee drama around Ratt. You know what I mean? Like,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great choice, man. Tommy Lee easily could have pulled this record off and it would have been just as good. Just as good.
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
And they would have looked cooler because, Bobby Blotzer's a goon. Actually, this whole band is kind of goofy looking, That was one of the things that was kind of a knock on Ratt for me. Like, they, Stephen Piercy kind of dressed like a Nagel painting and, fucking, they were just kind of weird, man. Kind of goofy looking, but whatever. Ed, who are we firing and replacing them with?
Yeah, so a couple things before I get to that. Their videos could have fit in with the Warrior by Scandal video, like part 2.
Yeah, totally.
They had all those pastels, like they're going to battle, but with no armor, but trying to look tough. And that was it was the videos of the time. I get it. It's just fun to mock and look back at now. It's so good. But
they were extra goofy though.
Oh yeah, definitely. But and then just to bounce back to your pick of Jeff Pilson. Dude, Jeff Pilson's vocals are not anything to fucking laugh at, man. That dude can sing like a motherfucker. And I think he did a fantastic job replacing Juan's vocals in the same legendary status, I think.
Well, then put it in there. And that way I can have both of my picks in.
But honestly, I think I would change out Robin Crosby because I want to see what it would have sounded like with Jakey Lee.
Oh,
if he was the original member, let's see, what would it have sounded like? I would have loved to have seen Jakey paired up with Warren.
Oh man, can you imagine that? It would have been a greasier album because both of those guys play very similar.
Dirty, greasy guys, man. Love it.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. Yeah, I'm down with that. Sure. I'm not sure if I would replace I don't know if I'd rather hear Ratt with Robin Crosby and Jakey Lee or with Jakey Lee and Warren DeMartini. I don't know if it might almost tip it too far to that other side.
Yeah, a roll of the dice, toss the coin.
I don't know, man. For me, Warren and Steven are never on the table, if you take them out, fuck you, I'm done, I'm out.
I'm with you. Okay, yeah, I'm with you. All right, so let's do some quick final thoughts and a Watt score. I will start. As I said in my opening, I grew up on this album, and honestly, I think it holds up today really well. It's got super slick production, amazing guitars, one great song after another. Stephen Piercy's great. Not a great singer, but just the only one I'd want for this album. Kind of like David Lee Roth. Same idea. I love his stylistic vocals. And for that reason, oh my God, I don't know, man. I feel like this is a high score, but I feel like it deserves it. This is going to be my highest score so far.
Oh, Christ.
No, really? Okay, hold on. Let me hold off then. Fee,
I don't
what
think
are
you
your final
understand what
thoughts?
your highest score is. No. You got to give you a score, Des.
I don't want to hold off now.
Do it.
Okay. My watt score for Ratt Out of the Cellar is 97.9 watts. It's fucking
Holy
awesome.
shit.
Yeah. Well, no, Ed, this is hair metal at its absolute best, though.
I don't disagree, but that score, what the fuck, Des?
Dude, you guys gave fucking David Lee Roth, Eat 'em and Smile a 98 and said you'd take it onto a desert island with you. I would fucking clog my toilet trying to flush that record. Yes, right?
Yeah. And I
Okay.
did not give it a 98. Dave gave it a 98. I gave it an 89.
That's still way too high for that piece of shit. Fee, what are your final thoughts and your watt score on Ratt Out of the Cellar?
All right. You got to tell me how watt score works first.
Okay, so basically, we pretend this is a Marshall head. How many watts is it pushing? So
Gotcha.
0 watts would be David Lee Roth, Eat 'em and Smile.
No.
100 watts would be Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
You can give it any combination, 52.65, whatever you want.
No, I mean, I'd go pretty high because this is one of those. I mean, and this is gonna say a lot more about me than anything, but this is actually my second favorite album by Ratt. With Dancing on Our Cover being my favorite. I can listen to that thing all day, every day. Sometimes I do listen to that thing all day, every day. I do, I do listen to some songs off of this quite a bit, but so I mean, I'd put it definitely over 95 for sure. Maybe we'll put it at like a 98. Yeah, why not? Let's put it at a 98. But Ratt is, and Ed knows this, Ratt is my favorite hair metal band all time. One of my favorite bands all time. I listen to a lot of Ratt to the day. Like I'm a Ratt and roll guy. So yeah.
Me too. Oh, good. So Ed, don't you dare sandbag this to keep it below Eat 'em and Smile, because that's not going to fly.
No. Definitely not. So just to stick with my internal criteria.
Okay.
I base my watch score on, were there hits, how many, and of what level were the hits. Did I enjoy the album? What did I most enjoy about it? And does it still hold up recording wise? Meaning like the quality of the recording, the grooves, all that stuff. Like, do I still appreciate it? I know it's not going to be the same as when I first heard it, but how do I feel about it? And I kept the score right in par where I have a lot of my scores. However, Fee, I expect that from you, I guess.
Yep.
There's only next to Ratt and Fee absolutely pleasuring himself nonstop to anything that, spells R-A-T-T. The only thing that he would do it more to is Ellie Goulding. And let me tell you, driving across the country with Fee was both a pleasure and a torture session, because it was always, okay, can we listen to Ellie now? Okay, can we listen to Ellie now? Can we listen to Ellie now? And I'm like, fuck no, how about Ratt? And you go, okay.
There you go.
So at least I had my scapegoat. And just so everyone knows, Fee and I have been friends literally as long as I can remember. I remember like second grade with Fee.
Oh yeah,
so.
grade school, absolutely. Yep.
So Ed, are you saying that I score hard on this one?
No, I know you're a big fan of this as well, but I appreciate the fact that you have these massive swings in your scores. It's either awesome or it's terrible. There's nothing in between. It's like, this is going to be a 50 or it's going to be a 90.
Oh, fuck. I know. It's bad.
So my watch score for this is 87.62.
Oh, that's so fair. That's probably close to where I should have been, but fuck it.
And
okay.
Just so you know, it is a little over 2 points less than Eat 'em and Smile.
Damn.
Okay.
We're not friends
Okay.
anymore, Ed. Damn.
So, Ed, will you please calculate the scores and tell us where this album falls on the Breaking Vinyl chart?
All right. Give me 1 sec here.
And I'll be double checking this score, so no shenanigans.
Believe it or not, because of you two ass clowns.
Say it. Go ahead, say it. We know.
This has a total watch score of 94.5.
Woo! It's a little high.
You think? You think that puts this just below Van Halen, and just above David Bowie, Let's Dance?
Okay, so if I had to listen to one of those 3 albums all the way through, I can't skip a song. I have to listen to the whole thing. This is probably the album I'm putting in.
Correct.
Over Van Halen.
Yes.
Well, no. Now listen, Van Halen has some highs that are definitely higher than this, as like Running with the Devil, sure. But there's also like the Ice Cream Man, and like Seamus, I would jerk my steering wheel into a telephone pole before or fire. No, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that. So yes, awesome. I love it. I think it's great. So let me put this out to the panel. What would you rather listen to, Ed? This or Junkyard?
Oh, this any day of the week.
Seamus, Whiten, what would you rather listen to? Fee, how about you? Are you familiar with Junkyard?
Yes.
And which would you rather listen to?
Obviously this. I mean, like, there's really, if you give me one kind of band from that era to listen to nonstop, it's going to be these guys every time.
Okay, perfect. And I think they're both great albums for different reasons. I can listen to either one.
For sure.
So, Ed, as you do have next week's pick, will you please tell us and the listeners what album I will be listening to this week?
I'm going to give you another album that you will probably think is overinflated.
Okay.
But it is, I think, an amazing album. And we're going to go with Mr. Big's Lean Into It.
Oh, God. Dude, my toilet, I'm not even going to be able to, I'm going to have to call a plumber, okay? You're going to make me listen to Mr. Big? Really? Oh, God.
You call yourself a musician and you can't appreciate that.
We can't do like fucking Diary of a Madman or fucking, we're going to do Mr. Big. Like, why don't we just do, what's the other one? Slaughter. Like, why don't we do Slaughter?
No, that's terrible.
Oh, God, that's just still more terrible than Mr. Big. Okay.
Oh, so not even close. You're out of your fucking mind, Desi.
No, I have no doubt. I have no doubt that these guys can play, but this is a loaf of fucking Wonder Bread that has gone penicillin green. Okay. Oh, shit. All right, so it's Mr. Big, and which album?
Lean Into It.
Lean into it.
Man. Lean into that toilet, Dez. Lean into it.
All right, so I'm going to tell you already, I've never listened to this album, but I'm guessing it's going to come in somewhere like in the low 20s. This could be the resurgence.
Desi is here or here. There's no in between. It's just, it sucks or it's the best thing I've ever heard.
This could be the resurgence. This could get Jane's Addiction's Nothing Shocking to rise from the ashes.
Zero chance.
Fee, can you believe Nothing Shocking is our worst album? Nothing Shocking.
Yes,
I you hate it? You hate it too?
Not a huge fan. Okay.
All right.
Wait. So hold on. Fee, here are the scores for Jane's Addiction, Nothing Shocking. Guess what Desi gave it?
I guess.
90 something. Yeah.
He gave it an 85.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
okay.
That's a mistake. It should have been a 96.
It doesn't matter what you do because Dave's score was a 37.
Oh, shit.
My score was a 45.
Oh, wow.
45. And you just picked Mr. Big and said this is going to be like some fucking steak dinner. Oh, God.
Yeah. My score would have been low on that album for sure. Like,
I'm looking at all the scores, and all of Desi's scores are grouped so perfectly.
Yep.
Yep. Ed, who's the singer of Mr. Big again? What's the Mr. Dimple Chin's name?
Eric Martin.
I fucking hate that guy, dude. I'd like to put him into like a rear naked choke.
Dude,
Like,
I met him. I met him.
You guys made love in the bathroom?
No, he was a cool dude, but I'll tell the story on the podcast because it was weird. Very, very weird.
Mr. Big. And you know what's funny? I still haven't figured out fucking Dave. I don't even know what Dave likes for music. I'm like, we're doing Ratt. He's like, who's that? I'm like, what? And he's
See, I thought
taking
he was kind of like you, like all the stuff you liked.
And he's never heard of any of it. Like, I'm always like, I think he's gonna be like, oh, I love that record. And he's like, and he's taking fucking Eat 'em and Smile on a desert island with you.
Right.
Okay.
I think that's what's so great about Dave.
There.
Oh,
Terrible.
The wild card.
Okay, so Fee, first of all, I would like to thank you for coming on the show. I literally can't believe this is your first podcast because you were fucking nails, dude. I give you 100-watt score. Great job. Killed it. Fucking, you're welcome to come back and fill in on any week either of these other two Jamochas miss. So if you would like to come on the podcast more often, you let me know and we can set that up because you're fucking great.
Thank you.
Ed,
Yeah, say the word.
Great. Yeah. Okay, good. You're in. You're an alternate. Ed, always fun breaking down albums with you.
Always.
For the listeners, I didn't actually take a shit in the Alltown parking lot today, but the guy that worked inside ran out to my car where I was sitting with my wife scratching a ticket and actually said, somebody took a shit in the lot and we thought it was you. And I looked at him like, what the fuck are you talking about? So whatever. I just have that effect on people, I guess.
Oh my God.
But next week I will be taking a shit on Mr. Big, so that'll be fun.
I will not.
So this week we did review Tombstone on Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie? So if you like Tombstone, go over, check that out. It was more of like a standard review. It wasn't the fist fight I usually have with my co-hosts. So until next time, take those records out of the sleeve and let the music breathe. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Take it easy.